So welcome everyone to another episode of Startups and Dragons. We're here with David Carpentier. Is that how you pronounce it?
You nailed it.
And he's the CEO of a company called Assurely, and he's fresh off hip surgery. So we really appreciate you joining us. Especially in recovery.
That's right. 41-year-old 41-year-old and hips already gone.
So why don't we start by, kind of before we get started, tell everyone kind of what Assurely does. How'd you kind of get into this?
Yeah, well, I grew up in the insurance space, and Assurely is an insurtech. So we build and or adjust existing insurance products for changing industries. And with, in the tailwinds of the last 15 to 18 months, there's not a single industry in the world that's not changing. And so with that, risks are changing, customers are changing, and insurance needs to change. So we fundamentally built a different insurance model to adjust to these new customers. And how we met, and how we met you, is we have a very exciting product that is very unique to companies raising capital, specifically companies that are using technology and the internet to raise capital, vis-a-vis crowdfunding or those types of mechanisms.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely will want to talk more about that. A lot of people have a interest in crowdfunding who tune into this. So, and as we set off on the journey, so insurance is something that a lot of people recognize they need. But, in terms of getting into solving this particular problem, no one kind of grows up thinking insurance tech. So like what drew you to this, or what was the first step in the journey that kind of got you started on this path?
Well, I mean, there's the personal story and then there's the Assurely story. When it comes to Assurely or just insurance in general, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, can't wait to go buy some insurance today. Oh, this will be a good day. This just doesn't happen. But it's such a crucial piece of our economy, such a crucial part of our lives. As it relates to my path personally, I was an ex-jock. So I actually played hockey till I was 27. And what happens when you are a high-performing, educated athlete, and you're no longer able to be an athlete anymore, is you find a financial service to sling. And I ended up in insurance. And that's kind of how I grew up in the industry.
Awesome. And so tell us who your customers are, and specifically, how do you find them? What are the channels how do you seek them out?
This is an important question for us, actually. So who are our customers? So primarily today, they're businesses. Primarily today, businesses that maybe fall slightly outside of standard, which I think nearly every single business falls into that category nowadays. So we also distribute through non-insurance native third parties, the My Ventures of the world, the crowdfunding platforms of the world, real estate, I wouldn't call them brokers, but real estate entities. What we have learned, and again, being in insurance 15 plus years, my co-founder has been in 35 years, has been some of the most important insurance people in the world actually work for us, which is a cool little, humble brag. But there's a statistic, Bain and Dries and a couple other folks are supporting this, that north of 80% of all insurance customers in the world prefer to buy their insurance from somebody other than an insurance agent. And so we're working with folks like My Venture, working with folks like, other folks in that industry to identify what the actual risks are, customize the actual risks, and deliver better product, more customized at lower rates through these non-insurance partners. And what it's doing is it's replacing the value proposition of the agent, in the sense of, we're not saying the agent doesn't have a role, but we're saying what that value proposition is: finding the best product at the best price, feeling like there's somebody there you can call when something goes wrong, feeling like you didn't make the wrong decision, feeling informed but not an expert. These are all these emotions that we have replicated through a better buying experience at a better rate in a more customized product for changing industries, which is a long way of saying that we're primarily today selling to businesses, and we're primarily partnering with, various stakeholders that support these companies.
No, I really appreciate that. And it's a trend that we kind of see everywhere is, people want to talk to a human being less and less in the value chain. It's interesting that that extends to things we didn't necessarily think about, like insurance.
Well, it's also clear we're not removing the human out of the process. The human is still very much a part of the process. But data, technology, and just better workflows are augmenting a process because, like I said, nobody gets excited about buying insurance. And more importantly, it's an industry that has lost a little bit of trust with consumers because of it's a bad process. It's still kind of archaic system. And so it's simply adjusting or bringing insurance up to speed to what consumers actually want and what technology actually enables for us to do.
I want to ask one kind of before we get to this another question about I know the limited amount that I know about insurance is I know it's heavily based on their ability to kind of invest the money and interest rates in order to pay claims. So how has that affected the insurance industry? The fact that interest rates are so low, are you kind of unaffected by that part of it?
We're slightly insulated on that. Partly, and it sounds kitschy, but we're so obsessed with what the customer needs, right? The what that is doing, that's a different part of the insurance stack. That is on the back end. That is what reinsurers are dealing with. That's what the capital markets are dealing with. And some of the really life insurance, disability insurance, some of those are really more focused on that. We're less interested. I shouldn't say less interested. We're less impacted because there's so much fat on the bone as it relates to how insurance is distributed, how insurance is underwritten, how insurance is brought to the world, that those interest rates become, we're sweeping pennies under the rug versus we're dealing with dollars.
Got it. I love that. And then here, you either get a handicap or a weakness here. So we've been on a heads roll, but now you're tails. So what's your greatest weakness? What was the first position that you had to hire to help in a certain area?
Yeah, that's tough, honestly. Well, it's a little phrase that got a little bit of wind in the on the social media circuits. But the most difficult part of hiring somebody from the insurance industry is asking them to unlearn the insurance industry. The most difficult part about hiring somebody from outside the industry is teaching them the insurance industry. So we're always going to battle that, right?
Yeah.
So from a hiring perspective, outside of just generally early stage companies finding good people, we've gotten very fortunate. Of the five kind of key components of our team today, all of them have played senior and or founding roles at other insurtechs.
Awesome.
Of the five folks, three have been a part of exits or strategic acquisitions, two IPOs, all in insurtech, all within the last 3 years. So to recruit other talent, we have a track record in all those things. That's been a little less challenging, but getting people that are more interested in saying this is exactly what we want to do versus the vanity of going and working for a startup with people who have done this before. And then the other weakness is we're asking customers to buy a different way than they have in the past. Like it's very similar to your investor community,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or your issuer community. People are saying, listen, instead of just knocking on angels and VCs doors, let's go a different route. So asking people to buy a different way is going to continuously be an entrepreneur's I wouldn't say weakness, but challenge.
Totally get it. And then you magically have an extra 25th hour every day. How are you spending that extra hour?
Oh God, that's tough. I think that's a day by day. I mean, today it's recruiting, 100%. I mean, what is the biggest thing on a day by day? I mean, the reality is it's on your customer. Just the more intimate you can get connected to your customer, to the partners, to the ecosystem, it's never an hour wasted.
Got it. I love that. And you can meet a hero. They don't need to be alive. Who's
It's
that?
tough. A hero. Well, I got to tell you that I would not call this person a hero, but even though it's kind of weird, like Rasputin was a really weird dude, and I would love to have met that guy and
Interesting.
see him spit some interesting theories out there. You had a hero, living or dead?
It doesn't need to
Uh,
be a hero. An interesting person it could be.
yeah, I mean, I'm not a basketball.
Tell us why Rasputin.
Uh,
What specifically about him is did you find interesting?
I really get attracted to people who just really think, just I wouldn't say weird or awkward paths, but really get turned on by trying to pave or just think through things completely unique to the rest of the world. And I think that's something that whether it was drug heavy or not, everything I've read kind of in school about him, it's just really interesting, weird stuff. I thought that was kind of cool.
The people march their own beat.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm not a basketball person, but Michael Jordan, and just the intensity. I mean, obviously, this even before the documentary, just the intensity that he brings to the world, and how we can balance playing a game and being just grossly intense at the same time is really, really cool. I think that energy would be really fun to be around.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe we'll add to this question. And what age are they when you meet them? Because if you met them today, you're probably meeting someone pretty different.
Totally.
And then you can give advice to your younger self in one category. We roll a dice here. You got a 6 on finance and forecasting in general. Is there anything about financial modeling or finance? We tend to pick these categories in areas that entrepreneurs and founders tell us that they struggle. So what have you kind of, you're kind of a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What have you picked up along the way that about kind of this process? Every investor wants to see it in a deck.
Yeah, I think so. I would say that the modeling side of stuff is not my strength. And I would have paid more in the beginning to partner with the right person, but set the expectation that part of their role, and we're well financed now, so it's easier to say that. Before I was bootstrapping, part of their role was to actually teach me this versus just completely do the work, but help me sharpen my knife a little bit more around that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the education around that, but it's a core competency that obviously every team needs, that I personally don't. I would not call a core competency myself. So it'd be hire or make sure I actively look for that expert, and spend, whether it's through equity or through some other compensation mechanism, but set the expectation that they need to teach me the why, the how, the strategic side of that business.
Yeah.
Which I've learned over time, but it took me a lot longer to get there than I would have liked.
I think that's good advice. Like, it's always a fine line between what do you delegate that you're not good at versus what do you learn because it's core. And I think that this is something that's kind of like right on that line for a lot of people. My philosophy on this is kind of if it's too complicated, if you're getting help with it for me to manipulate and work with, then it's probably too complicated for someone to comprehend. So that's like kind of how I
the USA Today, right? Write it for the USA Today.
And then you can get a point here by giving advice to someone who's founding a startup. What's if you could only give them one piece of advice, what would your advice be to someone who's thinking about founding a company? Let's say that they're a first-time founder.
It's going to be a rocky road, no matter how great you are, how good or bad you are. It's going to be difficult, and don't get hung up on the Twitterverse or people who saying that this is easy. It's not. It is absolutely not easy. And there's a lot of people who fake it till they make it, whether they say it or not. Yeah. So relish, be comfortable with that uncomfortable, understand that the problems you're going through, other people are too, whether you think they are or they're not.
Yeah, I like that. Now we're getting closer here. We encountered the dragon at the end of every journey, and we roll a 20-sided die to see what you win at the end. So tell me when to stop here.
Stop.
Oh, 19. So and you got -2 before, so that's 18, 17, plus you got +1, so 18. So you sneak in there, you become best friends with the dragon. You're gonna win $75. We'll send you on
I
Startups
love
and
it.
Dragons. We always encourage people to invest in a founder on the platform.
I was just going to say that $75 is going to get funneled, not funneled, but that's going right back through the My Venture app. I'm excited to use that.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. And then take some time before we go. A lot of people who watch this are in the crowdfunding industry or tangentially related to it somehow. How do they find you? And also, why do they need insurance? Like,
Yeah.
why do they need you?
I mean, the need insurance is real, and I could go down a lot of different paths. How you find us is through the Jason Crystals, the My Ventures of the world. Your partners are the best way to access us. When you access us through the Jasons of the world, you're going to get up to 50% off the retail price. That's one. What was the other part of the question, Jason? Oh, why is it important?
Yeah, why do they need? And when you talk about why they need it, are you talking about it from the platform perspective or from the startup founder? They're launching a crowdfunding campaign.
The startup founder, 100%. Startup founder, 100%. So when you raise capital from strangers, when you raise capital from 40, 400, 4,000 people, it materially changes your risk profile. And instead of scaring you, you simply just need to adjust that with the relevant insurance product, just like any other part of your operation. And it's a meager cost. It will be a standard insurance product, but once you raise more than maybe $150,000, $200,000, you need to have it as part of your campaign, or else you're really risking your business going under, regardless how much money you raise or not. And including it as part of your campaign before you raise by accessing it through folks like My Venture, again, the economics are going to be up to 50% off.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you coming on, talking more about insurance. Obviously, reach out to David on LinkedIn. I'll also put his website and email in this. And we really appreciate everyone tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Keep grinding, everyone.